Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome to this week's episode of Steelers Touch Down Under. I'm Matty P with Marky D. Marky D, how you going? We had a lot of technical issues there, man, but good to see you.
Yeah, sorry about that. I tripped over a cable. My bad. So hopefully we get some other guys coming from the YouTube land and from one video to the next. But I'm pretty excited to go. And we had a bit of a false start there, but I'm pretty excited to go talk about Steelers. How's your week been?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, it would have been better if we'd beaten the Chargers, but J Devil's got in there. He's found it. We're seeing a few other people jump in now as well, so they weren't technical errors on our fault. But look, Mark, what a game this week. This is some people calling it a must win, other people are not. It's going to be pretty hard if they don't win this game. That's all I'm going to say.
It's just very important because it's AFC North football, and because all the teams are so close together with like 6 wins each or 7 wins each, and we have 5. Right, they're like 1 or 2 games around each other. This is the point now. It does feel like 7 games to go. This is playoff mode.
Yeah,
I feel like we just have to start to ramp it up, and there really is. I was thinking the other day, Matty. There's no more excuses. Like we're saying, when are we going to get the second running back? When is, for me, when is Najee going to get a run bigger than 25 yards? We're already halfway through this season. I think what we have now is what we got. And what Big Ben is doing is starting to play better like last year. So I think we're at the point now, we've been through all these trials and we kind of know who our team is. We know it's relying on Big Ben, Najee to a certain degree, DJ, and don't turn the football over and play some good defense, and we have a chance. So it really.
But I want to ask you a question there, though. Like, you've got to make a really good point. We keep talking about when are we going to see this and when are we going to see that, and I think obviously the breaking news is that we know Ebron's on IR, JC Hassenhauer as well. Haden's been declared out for this game. I think Archie Bong's coming up as well. They signed kicker Sam Sloman, who we've seen before, to the practice squad. I think there was one other movement as well. But, obviously Joe Haden being out's the big one, and Dave Schofield talked about that a lot, the editor of BTSC on his stat geek. But I want to go back to that point you make around the second running back and who's going to step up here and who's going to step up there and whatever. We're 10 games, we're 10 games through now. Like, as you say, it is what we're going to get. And it's interesting because I agree with a sentiment that Dave was sort of saying in his stat geek, which was that the Steelers can beat any team on their day, whether they're going to go 17-0. No, that's very well. Obviously, it's not going to happen this season now, but it's very unlikely to occur in any season. But I still have confidence in this team being able to do it. They just got to rock up, and I think for me, that's what I loved about last week's game. Like, the defense was always going to leak points, right? Now, and I sit down like, yes, it's 41 points. It doesn't happen often for the Steelers. We can't have that, 2 weeks in a row. But if you think about all the West Coast performances that we've had with all the different people that were out, the way Ben stepped up, and we'll get there with the BTSC Manly Awards, but the way that Ben stepped up, if you get that if you can get that for another, 8 games out of 10 games or so needed, or 11 games needed to get to the Super Bowl, we're there. And I'm not saying this team's going to the Super Bowl. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm trying to say is that they can do it on the day. We just need them to do it on more days than what they've been doing it so far.
I just think that the thing that's so funny about this season, there are times where we've been up by 10 points and the other team comes back and it's like a heart attack kind of game. There are other times where we're down by 17 points. We come back and then we win, like last week. We've never had that game where we felt comfortable the whole season. So we've never seen our identity of who we are. We're always fighting back to get in it, or we're losing in the third and fourth quarter. There's never been like a complete game. And I want to bring up, one team like with the Patriots versus the Browns a few weeks back. They beat them 45-7. Now that to me is a complete game. They got an interception, a few sacks. That was where, they're showing what their team really is. And it just feels like we haven't seen that with our Steelers. And maybe that's why we are 5-4-1, because we just don't know who we are. Are we going to be the 4th AFC North team, or are we going to be the 1st AFC North team? It can swing either way. I really do think this game this week against the Bengals is it is must win, but it's playoff mode, and it's like you have to go out and dominate your opponent no matter what. I don't want to hang in there until the end. Sure, if you win by 7 points, but we can't let them back in, and you have to prove to yourself that you can play a complete game.
That's it. And when you think about the games coming up, right, after this, you got Baltimore. That's a must-win at home. Like that is when we get into must-win territory. Minnesota Vikings, the fact they beat, Green Bay as well, they're a team coming back. Kirk Cousins is like, he's starting to get, conversations around MVP with his interception to touchdown ratio. I think it's like 21-2, in terms of touchdowns and interceptions. Then we got the Tennessee Titans. That's not going to be an easy game. Then we got the Chiefs, the Browns, and we finish with Baltimore. So like they're going to have to, if they don't win this week, they've pretty much got to win like the 5 of the other 6 to come. They really need to get this one this week.
Yeah, I agree. They have to win. If they can win 2 AFC North games in a row, then we're right back in the dance, and anything can happen. But I just want to see some confidence in this team, because what are we, week 12 or week 13? And we still don't know our identity of who we are. Are we a running team with Najee? Are we Big Ben's team not throwing interceptions at the moment? Defense-wise, there's no Haden this week. What's coming back? We need Watt to step up. Without Watt, it's only Cameron Hayward. Like, I've just maybe because we're all our rookies and everyone's new. I don't know. It's very strange.
Yeah, it's definitely a week where, hey, and you bring it up there, and it's funny. I feel like we've been talking about the same things for so many weeks, but Hayward and Watt need help, right? Like they need help.
Yeah.
And the secondary, like I sat here and said it on last week's show, I was worried about the secondary. I didn't think they were going to do it without Haden for another week. And when you miss Minka like that as well, but Minka's not going to fix that for them completely. Like Minka's playing a different role, to being a ball hawk back there. So I just, he's playing smash the crap out of whoever he can kind of thing. So this is the thing this week, is that the Steelers, need to come out. And that's what I'm excited for. And we're going to preview this game in part 2, obviously. Part 1's where we like to look back on the previous week, give our takes. We've got BTSC Manly Awards or Ironheart Awards as well coming up. But for me, this game's going to come down to Ben. Like what we saw last week with the yardage that he threw for I think it was 27 of 43, the 3 touchdowns, no turnovers, massive. And we've got our fellow podcaster there, Chris Pierce, saying I love the mustaches. We had a bit of a shave. I actually nicked one on this side. It's a bit thin, but it's all right. A couple of days to go. How you feeling, Marky D? Couple of days to go.
What do you mean? Couple of months to go? I'm keeping mine, mate. I love it.
Mate,
I don't think I'm getting rid of it. I always try. I think I keep it till the end of New Year, and then
really?
Happy New
Okay.
Year. Yeah,
I
Happy
didn't
New
do
Year
it last
comes around.
year.
No, I didn't even do it last year at all. The year before that, I did it. But last year, I don't think we were on YouTube last year.
We weren't at this time. We went for the first or second week of January. It was the Browns game.
Right. Yeah, I think we until the end of the season, right? But yeah. Okay, even bringing up last year, right? Last year we were 11-0. This time we felt very comfortable being an AFC North team, and now we have 4 losses, and it's like I think we're a better team than last year. I just don't know what direction we're going to go in, because I do want to see Najee get some space, and he's running like he's got 1,000 yards in total, like in the whole, like one of the first rookies to do it. I think I'm not sure what the stat is, but he's killing it on the ground game. And I just want to see him get away and get some separation. And where's the team that we can go up by 14 points and our defense comes out? One thing I want to bring up in the last game, how many times, Matty, do we give away a 3rd and 13? That's I can't even.
What was it? Was it 3rd and 19? And then he went for like 18 yards. Was it?
I just can't even remember the last time the defense has stepped up. We always seem to go really hard on 1st and 2nd. We get to 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15, and we let them in. Bend but don't break. But sometimes you just have to say, no, I'm going to break them. I'm going to break them in half and get off the field. We're a funny team. We're not the Lions. We're not the Jags. We're not the Jets. We're a funny team. We still got to support our team, but it's like, what direction are we going to go in? Like, can we just be a run and defensive team? But then our players go out. So
I had a burning question for you. Like, watching last week's game, I focused on Ben a lot, right? I really wanted to watch his body language because this could be the last time he plays. Apart from, I mean, Kansas isn't really the West Coast, but, plays that far west, right? And I was thinking about it, and I was like, is this your last game, or is it not out there in LA? Do you think he's coming back next year?
Something tells me he kind of is.
Yeah, I keep leaning toward this, just watching his body language, and it doesn't seem like the Ben farewell tour. And I just think I still think he looks fresher than what he has in the last few seasons. Like, I don't think that O-line can get any worse kind of thing next year. Like, they're going to have cap space. I don't know. I feel like this is leaning toward it as well.
Yeah. If we go through like a rebuild this year and then Big Ben comes back next year and has better pieces, what's going to happen with Juju? Will our mate...
I think Juju's staying too. I'm coming out and saying it. I think Juju takes a team-friendly deal. I think he stays.
Well, actually, we hope that the Pittsburgh Steelers this year can go pretty far, but we've had a lot of injuries. It's been a tougher schedule. Maybe next year will be Big Ben's retirement year. I kind of feel like he's playing some of the best football, maybe not in his career, but in the last few years.
I would say efficient football as well. That's what I would like to call it. It's efficient.
Yeah, with what he has and what's been happening to this offense, and you can see sometimes even the center, Kendrick Green, gets nailed back like 10 yards, and then Big Ben still gets a play away. There's a lot of rookies in this team. There's a lot of rookies like Fryermuth, Najee. Who's the other bloke? Not Dotson. Who's the other bloke? I can't remember his name.
Danmore Jr.
Danmore Jr. Yeah, I always forget him. He's there too. There's a lot of rookies on this team, right?
Number 65.
Yeah, a lot of rookies on this team. I just think, you got to actually though, you got to focus. If you want to have a farewell tour, go win these 7 games. You know what I'm saying?
That 100%.
Go and win these 7 games.
And I agree with you. The Bengals haven't been this good in years. You then go up against Baltimore, as I said. Then you go to the Vikings and play a Vikings team that's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. A Thursday night football game, right? And then you go play the Titans as well. You got the Titans at home. Then go to Arrowhead and beat Mahomes. Then go back and stuff one up, the Browns again. At home, and then go to finish on the road at Baltimore and really show who's boss. Like, you're right. If this is a farewell tour, Ben's got an awesome opportunity here.
Well, it feels like something out of the movies, right? This is like the last 7 games, and you have four opponents.
The Last Dance. It's like The Last Dance.
What movie is that? I have no idea what that is.
That's the documentary. Oh, man. The listeners, particularly, I reckon, on the audio side, are like, oh, my God, Marky D. That's the one on Netflix with Michael Jordan, Last Dance. No?
Okay, yeah, but Big Ben doesn't dance.
No, we'll call it The Last Sling.
Yeah. Look, honestly, if you want to, we're in a funny position. If you can go out and win four AFC North games, we have a chance to maybe win the division or be in the playoff like hunt right now. But if it goes the other way and we lose, 5 out of 7, that's our season, So I think you got to turn up and just show the Bengals who's boss. We can't lose 3 in a row, can we? We cannot lose 3 in a row.
We could.
I know we could.
Sorry, I had to stroke back you there. That was hilarious. But Mark, with another game against the Chargers, we've obviously got the next edition of our BTSC Iron Heart Awards, including the famed Manly Award. Keen to know how it was sitting this week from you.
Yeah, so I'll start this week and then we'll go back and forth. I just want to firstly say that in the whole awards over the last, 12 weeks, Harris is on 26 points, Watt's on 22, and DJ's on 22 in our made-up awards. But that's kind of cool to see who the players that we think are the best on the field. I'll start with my 3 points this week goes to Big Ben. I just think he's playing some really good football at the moment. His snaps do got to come down from not throwing 50 times. He needs to throw 40, but same time, when he gets in the game and he gives your team a chance to win, being down 17 points and comes back at it and we're up by 3 points and then we lose, he always gives us a chance to win. He knows how to play this game. His mentality-wise for football is just crazy, like to figure out plays and to set people up. He's throwing for goodness sake, he's throwing to Ray McLeod, Yeah. Oh, heck, he's got some players on the fringe there that shouldn't be there. We really should have Juju. We do miss Juju, I reckon. We miss Juju.
I reckon he massively misses him.
Yeah, big time. In these kind of games too, versus the AFC North, we miss Juju's physicality, third down play. We miss him a ton. So for me, my 3 points goes to Big Ben. I don't know who you've got this week. Have you got something similar?
My 3 points was to Ben too. I
There you
just
go.
thought he came out and played a terrific. It was a terrific performance. I think, from his side of things there, it's just an incredible thing in a way for him to come back and do this, for this, what is it, 17th season now, couple off injury, what have you. He had a pass rating of 103 this week against the Chargers. Week before in Chicago, it was 111. The week before that, against Denver, it was 120. I mean, for Ben to be getting over 100 with the way he plays and some of the deep shots that we do actually take, even though people don't think we do, I mean, it's incredible. He's not missed a snap, and touch wood that he doesn't all season, from the offensive side of things. It's just, I think, we're going to have to be very thankful for that. And it's not us being homers either. And you think as well this season, like, he's taken sacks. There's only 2 games that he's not taken multiple sacks on the season. And that's a big deal, I think, when you are his age as well. And I think his average yards per attempt as well are a bit higher than last year as well. So I just think Ben, this game showed it. Like, he went toe-to-toe with Herbert. The Steelers didn't have 3 of their top defensive players. Herbert was always going to run the ball like he did. I just think from what we need out of Ben, and the other thing that a lot of people I think are glossing over, and I haven't listened to every, sort of take on last week's game, but missing Najee for almost 2 full quarters, that was a big deal last week. And Ben did enough. And we need it this week, because I think I alluded to it on War Room this week when I was talking about their rookies. But I think when you look at the receivers that the Cincinnati Bengals have got, you look at what there's a lot of guys that can potentially do damage, particularly when you're missing a Joe Haden. Big Ben might need to pull it out again. He might need to back up last week's performance with another performance this week.
I just feel with Big Ben, as long as the O-line can hold him up, we have a chance. He can rip it. And he also goes into my second player too, or my 2 points. When he's slinging the rock to DJ, so I give him my 2 points this week. I'll keep saying it. Without DJ, we are losing a lot of games. We really are. He is just a crazy piece of this offense. And yes, we do need Juju, and I think we need Claypool as well. We need all 3 of them to be there and to have it. Right. That's what happened last year with 11-0. We'll throwing the ball around everywhere. But DJ to me just gives Ben that extra out of, like, his route running ability is so good. And I think he's still going to get better. It is a fire up. And I think there'll be certain plays and maybe like more no huddle kind of style where you're going down the field and put some pressure on the defense. That's what I want to see. I want to see him get more involved in the no huddle and use DJ like that. Who for you would be your 2 points?
Yeah, so I get my 2 points to Chase Claypool. I went the other way. I'm loving what DJ's doing. But I just thought Chase Claypool, he's had the ankle injury. People are questioning his, performances this season. Has he taken the step up to the next level? 5 receptions of 9 targets, but, obviously he gets targeted with a lot of the deep balls. I think he's had to step up in ways that might be different to what he thought, with Juju being out this year as well. And like, he caught that massive pass or took it further, 37 yards as well. I just think he did a great job. And I think for a guy in his second year, not necessarily completely used to crowds yet, traveling across the other side of the country, I just think he stepped up.
I liked him too. I like Claypool on that play. I might have been 3rd and 5, over the middle route, and he went and got the first down. He's still growing. We've got to remember that he's only a second-year rookie, like second-year player. Got to give him time. And you look at the difference now between DJ last year and DJ this year. So give him time in this offense. It's a very young offense on the offensive line. He'll start to work with Big Ben more, but I think Big Ben's going to DJ and fry move a little bit in these plays to where things break down. But let's move into the last point, and the 1 point I given is to our mate, Killebrew.
Mate, we got to keep him. I'm a big fan of Killebrew. I love it.
Yeah, I thought I had to give him 1 because he put points on the board. There was a time where there weren't almost points on the board, and we got away with that flag. Like, he's on the sideline stressing, saying, "I did all the work. I blocked the punt, and it went out the 5-yard line. You guys can't put points on the board." And we got it with a Najee run. I actually called that. I was sitting here watching the television. I thought, just bring in Watt, once we got the flag. bring in Watt and bring in Banner. And they did. And guess what happened? We got a touchdown. So, we might get, maybe in part 2, we might talk about that as well, why we aren't using these big, heavy sets like a lot of teams are, because we certainly aren't. Who's your number 1?
I gave it to Cam Hayward. I just thought Cam Hayward. It didn't necessarily come up completely on the stat sheet this week for Cam, but the reason I give it to Cam is that the other team has to do so much to scheme around him, and that's enough for me because it opens up opportunities for other people. I know people are sitting there probably going, "What?" Particularly after he did the punching Herbert thing. I think I saw some things breaking around the fine.
That wasn't a punch. That was not a punch. I'm sorry. That's your first take, and everyone says he punched Herbert in the gut. He was standing up, and even if it was there, you don't even complain to me, Charger fans. Were the one
Herbert didn't even complain, and this is why I like Herbert. I feel like Herbert is got all the new the flashy passing and can do the run and all the rest of it. But I feel like he's got a bit more old school brain on him, Herbert. He just took it. He's like, Cam Hayward's not a dirty player. He wouldn't have meant to punch me, kind of. And he had that tone of, if he did, it's in the spirit of the game. It's just ridiculous.
Do you know what was a dirty play? Was that charge on him? I don't care who his name was, who cocked his elbow and went for Najee's head. That's a dirty play, and that disgusted me at the time, and it still does. I know it's taken us a week to get to it, but that's ridiculous. So them complaining, Charger fans
take here from Marky D.
Oh, mate. Charger fans complaining about, getting a little bruised rib or getting standing up and doing the 1-inch punch from Kill Bill. Man, it's just silly because on the other side, Najee got knocked out, his helmet come off, and there was 0 flags. Zero.
No, it's just ridiculous.
All right. These rants are fun. All right, rant done. Okay. I can see why now. How Dave loves to do them. You know what we could do as Aussie mates do? We could really amp Dave up so much. we could push him to the letter of the law. We're just writing some silly questions in Twitter. Let's move on to the Manly Award. So my Manly Award, you've given 1 point to Cam Hayward. I give my Manly Award to Cameron Hayward. He chased down the only fellow on the field, chased down Herbert in that match.
That was such a good tackle. It was such a good tackle. I was just but you know what? They make a big deal about this. Obviously, when you've got the ball, you're blocking people, right? You make a big deal about this when you talk rugby when you're a kid about support play, right? No matter on offense and defense, you go and you support the player that's got the ball or is around the ball. And that's what Cameron Hayward did. And it's a difference I've seen in a lot of contact sports where some people, once the play gets past them, they just kind of stand there or they jog for a few more meters or yards and they just sort of stop. You got to follow the ball. If you don't follow the ball, anything can happen. And that was a classic example of why you need to follow the ball and what Cameron Hayward did. And you just see that will to win. I mean, Cam Hayward's plus 30. He's done enough in this league now. He's making, plus 15 million a year on average. You could be, in some teams, they forgive him for not doing those sorts of things. But not that passion, that will to win. I just love it. It's just awesome.
Well, even so, when Cameron Hayward put his hands up and then Cameron Sutton got the dive of the year.
Cam to Cam.
Yeah, Cam to Cam, the interception. That was great to see. His passion is you can't match it really. It's amazing to see. And even Cameron Hayward running into the O-line and then backtracking all the way to get Herbert. Yeah. Mate, that for me, he was my Manly Award. Who's your Manly Award this week?
Yeah, so my Manly Award, this is a tough one to give out because I like what Hayward did. I thought a few other guys stepped up too, but I gave it to Big Ben. I just think you go across the West Coast where you've got not the best, record. Obviously, you've had COVID, you've been out a week, you fly on your own plane, you do your own thing, you step up and you perform. I think, it's what I said last year when he did it against the Bengals, and I was just like, perhaps he benefits from sitting at home watching a bit more tape, resting the arm, which is crazy to think. You got to think how many. I was thinking about this actually yesterday. I was watching a little bit from the QB school. I don't know if you've watched the QB school with JT O'Sullivan. I know Jeffrey Benedict watches it, and I try to watch it as you get closer to the draft because it helps me when I'm looking at film. But JT O'Sullivan's got this QB school. It's pretty well renowned throughout the internet and different NFL teams and colleges, and different rookie quarterbacks work with him at times as well. And they go on about his experience, but he played 17 NFL games, right? And he's got these insights. You think about Big Ben and how many people like fail in making it to the NFL, and Big Ben can pretty much turn up, not like it's backyard football, but he can just turn up and sling the rock.
Well, no,
and I'm not disputing the preparation that he puts in, but all I'm saying is I think it's pretty cool that that he can just do that off this week. And as I said, he kept it up with Herbert in a game where he lost Harris, who's been very much a bit of a safety blanket this season. So I think he deserved the award.
That's a very good point, though, because you look around the NFL and the NFL quarterbacks, and you and I have been following this league I've been watching now 18 years, pretty much the same time as Big Ben. But there are quarterbacks out there that can't play the game like Big Ben. He's been playing for 18 years or 17 years. He goes out there and he has a chance to win. So there are a lot of Big Ben haters who say, it's time to hang up the bootlaces, but he's given the Steelers a chance. He can steal the chance every single week when he plays. And yes, he does some really bad throws, but he does some really fantastic throws as well. Let's move into the coach of the week. And I wanted to go with, I think I cheated. And I think I did see what you may have the same. I wanted to go with Danny Smith.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not the fact that we got the punt block. It's the fact that his enthusiasm after the punt block. I liked how he was so G'd up, and he's like, yeah, he's got his fists out and he's ready to go. I loved it. I do think we need to improve on the kickoff returns, the punt returns, but who doesn't? In the NFL,
but that's more player. I feel like that's more player. And the reason I say that is Ray, you watch them block. Ray will always catch the ball, and then after the first block occurs, he usually gets between 10 and 15 yards after that. I feel like they're setting the blocks. I think it's down to him. I'm sorry. And
yeah,
sorry, I know this is another opportunity. It shouldn't be an opportunity for another Ray rant. But can at least one time Ray get the ball, see everyone set one side, and maybe try going the other way, like stepping, juking, faking. There's no creativity in it.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see who's going to fill in for Ray's spot this week, and maybe we might talk about that in part 2 as well. So did you have the same coach? You had Danny, right?
I had Danny Smith. Look, I loved what Killebrew did. Obviously, I've said I'm a fan of Killebrew, but I almost gave this to Mike Tomlin because I think he copped a lot of criticism this week. If people don't think he's got his handprints all over this team, you're kidding. And if people don't like that with their performances, I think you got to really be serious. A lot of NFL pundits had us with 6 wins on the season. They've got 5 wins and 1 draw. Like one more win, we're there, right? And even if that's all they get, we're still going to be ahead of those 6 wins because we got the draw. I think we're going to finish with the 500 record plus. If you make the playoffs, then good luck to you. But I just think Mike Tomlin, with all those key defensive players out, you don't go in with Juju, and I know we've got not going Juju every week, but at the end of the day, you're going in with DJ Claypool, you lose Harris for a lot of the game, and the team gets within 4 points of a very good Chargers team. I'm sorry, I just think that's a true performance. But say, gave it to Danny Smith because without Killebrew's play, the Steelers, aren't in it there at the death. So.
Yeah, and it's a rolling effect too. Once the Killebrew play happened, I think the interception happened too. But I agree with you with Coach Tomlin. And a lot of guys, I'm very thankful we have him for our Steeler team to have a chance, right? And there's even players all around the league always say, I wish I could play for Mike Tomlin. So this narrative of fire Tomlin, I don't fully understand. And it's always funny that when we do lose, it's his fault. But we had a chance to win, and we're up by 3 points, and then we're down. But let's go into our dunce of the week. For me, I've got to pick on this guy a little bit. I do like his play. For me, the dunce is Devin Bush. I know, and this might be with coaching as well. Look, if Devin Bush is injured and he can't do what he can do, then it's a bit on coaching. Maybe take him out and put someone else in. But maybe he's the best that he can be at 70%. I don't know. What's your take on Devin Bush?
Yeah, I saw that in our little spreadsheet, and I was a little bit like, ooh. I think we've got to give Devin Bush a bit more time. I don't think he's over. Whether he needs some time to sit this season to just watch.
That's what I'm saying.
A little bit.
So
yeah, but it's a bit. Look, it is a hard one there because you got to see him do a bit more. I wonder as well without Minka, that changes. I listened to another NFL show that I talk a lot about, the focus around the NFL. And I've listened to 2 interviews now in the last 6 months with Luke Kuechly, and one of them was from the last week. And Luke Kuechly talks about the role that he played. Now, yes, he played in a 4-3 rather than a 3-4, but he talks about how the guys up front are so key to what you do, right? As an inside linebacker or middle linebacker, but also the guys behind you, because if you're asked to do certain things, you might leave people deep over the middle. You might leave people deep. You might leave people open in the intermediate passing game. Also, depending on what the schemes you do in terms of where your cornerbacks are forcing the ball. And so when I think about our defensive line, and you think TJ Watt, being out the last couple of weeks, but you think the bigger outs of Alualu and Tuitt, and then people overcompensating with Cam, you think about a new partnership with Joe Schobert. Look, I definitely don't think Devin Bush is doing what he was doing before. That's clear, as he's coming off his knee injury. I think we're lucky to have him back doing what he is doing, to be frank. And hopefully we see the second year bounce back like a lot of players, have, or anyone has when they do an ACL. But I wonder if what they're asking him every week is so different with different people being out, and it's different to what he's been asked to do before in different schemes. And all of those together as a combination are making it a bit of a challenge for a player that he's only in his third season. Look, yes, he was a top 10 draft pick, but he's in his third season. He missed almost all of his second year last year. So I don't know what they're going to do with him. But then I also sit there, I'm like, Spillane was getting destroyed over the middle when he was asked to play that role in the preseason. So what are you going to do? If anything, I'm interested to see how they can work in down the stretch a guy like Buddy Johnson. I would love to see Buddy Johnson, coming in a game like the Ravens, not the end of the season, but because I think it'll be too late, but in a couple of weeks' time, start blooding him if we can, because I just want to see that guy. I know he's a hard worker. I'd just love to see what he could do. Not saying that he needs to be the starting linebacker, but you raise a good point there about Devin Bush. My one was Akello Witherspoon. He was active for that game, and he doesn't do anything.
I agree.
And he will be there because of the pick that we've wasted on him.
He got burned a few times too. I saw number 25 getting burned. He just doesn't seem like he fits this defense. He seems a bit lost, I would say. I agree with you. I don't know with Witherspoon what's going on. Witherspoon
had a quarterback rating of 118.7. Allowed 39 yards, 2 out of 2 complete. He's just bad.
And
not that good bad.
I think to end it on this kind of segment, but to end it, I think Witherspoon and Bush and these kind of guys maybe need the big time players like Joe Haden, Minka, and Watt, who have been in the defense. And that if you have a star-studded defense, you can hide a little bit and get away with certain things. But once you're in the spotlight, mate, it's game time. You need to be on your man, and it's all up to you. Same with like maybe James Pierre too. He played well during the start of the season, and now he's gone missing a little bit, And then you put the spotlight on Cameron Sutton, and he's very similar. But once you have Watt there and our 5-star players, if I'm a player and I know that TJ Watt's there and Minka behind me, I'm ready to go. I'm so fired up to be part of this defense. But then when there's no Minka, no Watt, and no Joe Haden, well, that's every single tier of the defense, and you have to step up, and that kind of shows their skill level. So, I don't know.
I also wonder as well how much Bush misses Mike Hilton.
Oh, big time.
Right, and I just wonder whether the roles that they play, the area of the field that they're playing in, that allows Devin Bush to do things. I still like things that I'm seeing out of Devin Bush though this season. I like that he's got a couple of sacks. I like what I've seen at some points of this season. I don't think he's terrible at every play. I just don't think we've seen consistently the difference that people are kind of hoping or expecting him to make. But I talked about in War Room this week. There's a guy that's less like his sort of player, more toward the Vince Williams style linebacker, a guy called Jack Sanborn out of Wisconsin. If he's sitting there early in the third, would love the Steelers to look at him. I think he could be incredible there. But we'll see. He was probably a second round pick though. But look, with that's going to wrap up part 1 of this week's Steelers Touch Down Under. Join us for part 2. We'll continue our Cincy preview. Obviously, we've got Slinging the Slang as always, and we'll take some audience Q&A as well. If you're on the live on the YouTube or Facebook side right now, just hold tight for a couple of seconds, and we'll be right back with you. Audio guys, as I say, you'll need to switch over to part 2. And we're back on Steelers Touch Down Under. I'm Matty P, joined by Marky D as always. Mark, what time is it in the show?
I'm pretty sure it's time to sling the slang or sling the rock. Or
How long have we been doing this now? And you don't even know the intro.
There's always so much pressure. I'm always the first one to start off. Like, what time is it? I'm like, oh geez, I don't know, Rick. But yeah,
But as Marky D fumbled just then, that's right. It is time for slinging the slang. Just as Big Ben likes to sling the rock, we like to sling the slang. That's where we give all listeners a taste of all things Aussie, whether it's slang words or just random other stuff. Marky D, what do you got for us this week?
Well, I'm not even sure this one's Australian this week, but I think we just got to rally. I think our boys need to step up and we need to rally. Have you ever heard that slang before?
I have.
Yeah, now with my context with this list slang, rally could mean like a tennis rally, nothing like that. But with the context this week, I think rally for me is when I was younger and you go out in the town, you have a few sherbets, have a few drinks, and the next morning you wake up at like 11 a.m. and you go to the pub again and one of your mates says to you, mate, let's rally, let's go. Let's get ready for this contest, Would you not agree that the Steelers need to rally and need to get together and show some effort?
Effort. I like it. There's some good Aussie slang in the live chat right now. Tinnies and, about Jordan Berry handlebar moustaches.
Owen says here, ice cold tinnies, sinking a few tins. That means like drinks.
But a tinny is also like a metal, like a dinghy, but that's an Australian. What do they call that in America? What do they call a dinghy in America?
Oh, like the boat?
Like the small boat, like a little two-person fishing boat.
Like the Rex Hunt fisherman boat?
Yeah, the Rex Hunt fishing boat. Yeah. What do they call a dinghy in America? That's a good one.
I have no idea. I know that we just called it a dinghy or a boat, I guess. Let us know if you guys go fishing. What do you? It's so hard.
Like that bog standard, like a metal boat, like a couple of people, like with a
two-person boat. We called it dinghy. I don't even know why we called it dinghy.
I don't even know why either.
Oh, they call it the same. Look.
Oh, they call it okay, but so we call the ones that have like an aluminium. They're aluminium, right? The metal ones.
I don't fish, mate. I don't
know either. Everyone's like, it's just a boat. That's like in Love Actually, where they ask him to say a table, and how because he says like bottle, and then like they all laugh and whatever, and they ask him to say table, and he just says table. Like,
whoa, Stacey Lynn's got a great one. Do you want to pronounce this? Because I think you'll do it better than I can. What does Stacey Lynn say here?
Aluminum. That's what they say. It's aluminium.
How do Australians say that?
Aluminium.
Right, gotcha. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I thought you wanted me to say it the American way, the aluminium.
No, the Australian way, mate.
The only
we just call that. And for the audio guys, welcome back. We call that. We call aluminium alfoil, so like it's easier to say.
Yeah, like the alfoil wrap that you wrap.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's call it foil. Not the alfoil. Yeah. All right. Well, that's an interesting segment. No, all right. So I got one this week as well, and I was thinking about it, right? Because I think this could be a bit un-PC, maybe. I don't know. Maybe we've gotten there as a society, not in Australia certainly, but maybe in the US. But I was thinking, I was Googling some random Aussie things, right, yesterday. And they said, apparently in America, or in any other country, they don't call white bread. You know how we call it white bread? Like you got white bread, you got wholemeal, brown bread, you've got like seeded or whatever it is. They don't call it white bread, apparently. They just call it bread. And I thought, like, imagine if you're Australian going around wanting white bread in another country. It might not be the best look. No. I didn't think that was an Australian thing. I didn't think that was something that was a big deal. But apparently it is.
We have lots of certain types of breads, haven't we?
Yeah.
And we have like multigrain.
There's multigrain, and then there's the seeded and the rye bread and the wholemeal bread and the.
What made you think of that this week? Is that because we were?
I was just googling random Australian things that other countries don't understand, and one of them was white bread, and I was like,
I've been I think a lot of the countries don't understand us. I think we're key for that.
I don't know. I didn't know that was honestly, I don't even still think that that's surely a thing.
You know, one thing I reckon we might get into, what I don't understand about America and with us, we don't have the tipping culture in just came to me then. We don't have tipping culture in Australia. So that might be very funny for a lot of our
but our minimum wage is a lot higher. So
yeah, but it's still kind of like nice though to leave someone, $5 tip for doing a service. But
I had a rule in Australia: you got to spend over $100 before you get a tip from me, unless you do awesome service. Mate,
I just sling like money's nothing. Maybe that's why I'm poor. I just give out money to anyone, and it's like here's $5, here's $10. I don't care. I don't care what they do. I gave $10 to the local busker the other day down the entrance. I was like, "Here you go, mate. Here's $10."
And then the other one that I thought I want to go to today was, I can't do this dance. I don't particularly like the song either. But it was funny on this blog of these random things. Apparently, other countries are always surprised at how popular Nutbush is for us. Like, when Nutbush comes on in an event and like the whole room stops and everyone does it. I can't do it. I'm like, I can do it. See, like most Australians can like literally do the Nutbush in their sleep.
Mate, we learnt the Nutbush in year 5 for like the whole year. We just kept learning about it. Didn't you learn that? That's where I got like my first girlfriend. She didn't know she was my girlfriend, but I knew she was my girlfriend. It was fine. Because every Wednesday we rocked up to year 5 dance class, and I was like, "There's my girlfriend over there, my partner." But she didn't think I was a boyfriend. But it doesn't matter. It's fine. Are we going to talk some?
Yeah, I think we're going to move on that note. We're gonna move on with Mark's fake catfishing himself. Let's preview this Cincy game. Mark, who are the 2 players for you that the Steelers have got to sort out on when it comes to Cincinnati?
It's got to be Mixon. Slow down Mixon for sure. And I think, what I was going to say, frustrate Joe Burrow, but I think we need to frustrate Ja'Marr Chase.
Yeah,
I think we have to get into his rookie head and really frustrate him. If that is in terms of like doing maybe not illegal things, but like getting in his face a bit more, not getting caught for flags, being man to man, no Joe Haden, whoever's going to match up against him, like meet him at the line, push him out of his route, mate. Get him frustrated, and to where Joe Burrow can't even think about throwing to him. I think if Minka plays, the more I think about it now, if they're going to use Ja'Marr Chase, he might not even catch too many balls in this game. Whoever's going to be one-on-one with Chase, they're going to have help over the top, and that should frustrate him to a certain point. I think Tyler Boyd's out as well, to my belief. I'm pretty sure. I think he's out. I heard he was on the injury report. Now, I could be well wrong.
No. You might be right. I hadn't seen that one.
If he's out, that's even better for us. It comes down to, I think, the star players. They really got to make them, not part of this offense and have no way to beat us. And then it comes down to our defense, really. I think we have a chance with Big Ben the way he's been playing at the moment in our defense. So if you guys know in the chat, let me know if Tyler Boyd's out. I'm pretty sure he is.
I think you're right. I just don't recall like seeing that flash up for me, which is interesting because he came out and say we gave up, right? So maybe he's taking a strategic. I'm not going to play this one because I don't want to get something that's a bit of a dirty play, as you say there. I agree with you though, because I was looking at Ja'Marr Chase's stats, obviously, when I do the rookies for War Room, and I found it interesting that Chase has had some quiet weeks the last few weeks. He had a 201 yard performance about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and then since then he's not even cracked over 50. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what the Steelers do with him because, and I said this in War Room, it's not just when you saw it again in the game against the Steelers, it's not just because he only had 65 yards in that game. It's not just the yardage that he's going for, it's the touchdowns. Like against the Steelers, he had I think 5 from 6, so 5 receptions or 6 targets, and then he had 2 TDs in that game. He can turn the game because what we've got to remember is this Steelers team has not really put up plus 24 points in many games this season, right? So we can't let him get a couple of touchdowns no matter where it is in the field. We can't let anyone do it, but particularly him. And I think he's a weapon there when you're missing, a guy like Joe Haden and that rhythm in the secondary. I think it helps having Minka back. But as we said in part one, Minka's doing a different role. So I think it's pretty interesting. I mean, the guy for me on the receiving side, I want to hear the second one you've got though, is Moa, the tight end. He's having a sneaky good season here. He's only got 300 yards in the season, but he's making some plays. He's got 5 TDs. He's making the impact that Freemuth's having for us. So I think we got to watch him. And this is what I mean where you're worried about what Devin Bush is potentially doing. Does Edmonds have to mark up on him? How are you going to stop that outlet?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think if I'm going to choose a second person, I do think Jamar Chase is the number one. But maybe going back on the offensive side with Big Ben, how's he going to who are the linebackers there? It's Logan and Pratt, right? They're pretty good. They're pretty solid linebackers for the Cincinnati.
Yeah, but then you've also got to think about their pass rushers as well, because they've got Trey Hendrickson, who's like 9.5 sacks on the season so far.
Wow, really?
Yeah, a lot of people questioned what he was going to do when he joined them this year, but he's doing well. And Sam Hubbard, he's got 6 sacks, so together they're 15 there, 15 sacks on the season, 15.5 sacks. So they're 2 guys that can cause trouble. And I still stick by what I've said. When I previewed the last time we played them. DJ Reed is someone to worry about there at defensive tackle. So is Larry Ogunjobi. They've got a decent defense here. And, when we played them earlier on in the season, Uwuze wasn't doing necessarily as well. Eli Apple wasn't, doing as well. Mike Hilton was still getting adjusted to that scheme. All those guys, plus you add in Von Bell and Jesse Bates, they're starting to come along.
This isn't the same Bengals team that we've been facing the last few years. I think we've had the Steelers have a history of 66 versus 37. This is a more fired up. I call them early in the year an angry Bengals team, a young angry Bengals team. However, they did only beat the Raiders the other week, and I know we lost to the Raiders too early in the season. But the Raiders, for me, they're terrible. They won that game easily. So this will be no cakewalk for the Bengals. But if they get to Big Ben and they put him under pressure and get some sacks, then our whole game plan changes. We can't run Najee anymore. I just want to see some more creativity with the runs, maybe some like halfback tosses and get Najee in space. I don't know. I just seem like we're running into a bit of a wall there every time we run up the guts. It does work in some instances, but it feels like we're getting stuffed in the run most times. We probably still are 30th in the run. It's going to be a game where I think, you're going to frustrate Burrow on their side. And for the Steelers, you need consecutive first downs to get points and start to feel comfortable. This to me is actually the harder game out of the next 2 weeks. I do not trust the Ravens one bit. I'm more worried about the young, angry Bengals team than I am the Ravens next week.
Yeah,
definitely.
Interesting. No, I like it. I'm starting to feel the same way. Completely agree with you there. And I think I think it's going to be so interesting about the Steelers team in terms of how they can take out, because in some ways you look at the names going into this season that the Bengals acquired and you're like, this seems like a bit of a mishmash, hodgepodge way of putting together a team, but they've got guys that have either were drafted pretty highly that have been proven performers, not the best player on a team, of course, but, being proven performers at the NFL level. And they've put them together and I do think their coach is pretty smart. I think there's a bit of respect that's got to be owed to him. I like why they're putting this together with Zach Taylor, and obviously they're 6-4 for a reason. So, it is going to be interesting to see what they do from that side of things. So, Mark, what can the Steelers do? Like, who needs to step up on defense? And I know it's easy to go Hayward. It's easy to go Watt. It's easy to go Minka now he's back. But if there's one player that's going to be the difference maker here, and it might not always show up on the stat sheet, who's it going to be from the Steelers this week?
It's so interesting you say about one player, because I immediately just go for team. I think the team needs to be talking to each other more than what they did. They got burnt in that last TD. There was no communication. If there's one player who's not like the highlight guy or the 5-star guy, I would love to see, maybe James Pierre, whoever's going to be one-on-one with Jamar Chase. To be very honest, to set the example and the standard to say, look, your best guy is not going to beat our guys.
Yeah.
And that will be a roll-on effect once we can take away that that receiver with a corner, and then Joe Barry gets frustrated. Then they're going to be doing more, halfback draws using Mixon more, and then the linebackers get involved a lot more too. That question is so hard to answer, Matty. It's hard to answer because you can't just pinpoint one player. Yes, you can with TJ Watt, and as Brian Brown says here, the game wrecker. He is the difference maker there. But if you say you take away all those players, and who's going to be the difference maker to really put an emphasis on this game, I don't know. I do come back to more of a team mentality of like, yes, bring Terrell Evans more back into the box, get him involved. Him and Minka working together again is going to be amazing to watch, as always. Maybe Schobert can do some things with Bush and they can start to work together. It's all about that communication. I think they've missed that a few weeks where they're giving up too much, and you can't rely on your players like Cameron Hayward all the time. I'm going to put it back to you then. I'm going to put it back to you. Who do you think's it's so hard to answer, the one player?
And I'm going to rally it back to you. Have one guess who I'm going to say. Just have one guess.
The one player on defense or the one player overall?
Yeah, one player on defense who I'm going to say.
I reckon you're going to say Terrell.
Oh, actually, no, it's not. It's not. It's Alex Highsmith. He's got to back it up again this week. I do think Wormley needs a big play here, like a big tackle for a loss, a sack, or even if it's half a sack with someone else. But no, TJ coming back, it goes back to what I said this season with if you've got someone coming back like that, that's going to make a difference. What space is it opening up? Highsmith had a big game last week. Back it up this week. Show us that you've developed in your second year. Show us that we're not going to miss Bud Dupree. So I'm, how high I am on Highsmith. That was the theme for last season when it came to rookies. He's just got to do it again this week.
No, and I agree. With all that pressure too, you have Highsmith and TJ Watt. We know what he can do. We understand what he can do, and we're so thankful for him on the edge. More pressure on the other side of the edge than Cameron Hayward in the middle. It becomes like everything's in front of us. And that's why I think like the Pierres, the Suttons will start to step up. And then with the communication with Terrell and Minka, it's such a beautiful thing to watch because they're complete different players, but they work well together. This is a game, like I said before, it's a must win, but it kind of feels like that playoff mode. And if we go out there and lay a duck egg, well, shoot, what do we do? But it's like,
what do we do? Sack them all.
Yeah, it'd be very hard to come on here next week, and I'm so pumped up for this game. But you're exactly right. Highsmith has a more of an effect in this game. Rushes Burrow, gets to the. He had some good tackles for loss last week too. I think in the run game or a few weeks back. Like he's getting around.
He had one tackle for a loss last week. He had 3 quarterback hits, 1.5 sacks the week before. He had 11 combined tackles for 2 tackles for a loss.
There you go.
He's stepping up.
He's getting around it. He's starting to understand that he can be part of this defense and he can really, step things up to the next level. Isn't it funny though? We are talking about the defense trying to improve, and we haven't really talked about the offense that much. Like, do we know who this offense is right now?
A Steelers offense?
Yeah. Well, is there more to improve the offense, or do we kind of know who they are?
I heard this talked about on one of the other BTSC shows. I don't think the reason I think we know. I think we can know what to expect, but we don't know who they are because we don't at the end of the day, Smith-Schuster isn't healthy. There's a lot of guys unhealthy, right? So we don't really know. And I also think, when you've got a guy like, they work Freemuth in and then they don't do much with him. And then, DJ does a bit and then Claypool's, was out with his ankle. I don't think we've seen it yet. And I think, so as I say, I don't know. We do know it because we know what it's capable of when they're missing a player or two, that they can adapt and they can almost get there. The defense needs to step up. But no, you're right. And I think it goes back to what you said in part 1 about not feeling comfortable in any game. If they had all their top players out there, I think we'd be feeling a bit more comfortable every game. And I think the score sheet would be showing that as well. So
exactly.
But does it matter at this point? I also, and I know this was sort of a sentiment that you were suggesting in part 1 and a little bit earlier as well in part 2. Does it actually matter? You're just going to have to get the job done now. It doesn't matter whether it's perfect week in, week out. You just got to get the win. And it goes back to what we said, what was it, 4 or 5 weeks ago about taking care of business every game. This is exactly the sort of game.
I agree. We just need that I guess the illusion or that idea of like we have to feel like we're getting better, because I feel like we're average on.
But I don't know how you can. I don't know how. I saw the confidence. I saw one of the articles on barnstillcurtain.com. Your one-stop and non-stop shop for all things Pittsburgh Steelers. But I saw, an article that put up there about Steelers fan confidence, being rated high after the Chargers. If you walk away from that game feeling negative, I don't know what negative pill you're taking, because as far as I'm concerned, they went in there without all those stars on the West Coast, got within 4 points. Like Trey Norwood at the end there, if Minka plays that game, that mistake doesn't happen. If Trey Norwood isn't, a rookie, that play probably doesn't happen. They win I'm sorry, if you walk away from last week thinking we're going to get destroyed down the stretch, don't. If we lose this week, even though we have a lot of respect for this Bengals team now, it probably is. It might be a bit limiting for the rest of the season, because I think they've got, apart from the Ravens, the rest of them are very tough matchups.
No, I don't think I'm like having a negative view, but I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, we're almost like
no, I wasn't saying you were, but I'm more like I think there's some fans that might walk away going, "Oh, we lost 41-37."
Mate, there are some fans that wouldn't be happy with the Super Bowl win. Let's be honest.
Oh, you didn't win by enough points. This player missed 4 tackles.
It's the truth of it. It's the social media idea of what is happening around the world now. They're just not happy about anything. So, but I'm just saying, with the offense, I feel like we're 1 or 2 players, 1 or 2 ideas away from. We've seen a lot with this Matt Canada offense, like using Gentry, using even Radar to a certain extent, using the tight ends better, using the run game better. I just feel like we're one run away to get that big run for Najee to really settle in, and then it puts the defense on the back foot. Even people were complaining about that the Claypool ball wasn't thrown in front of him. Mate, that was a massive play. And that puts on the defense on their shoes and goes, oh, no, Big Ben can throw it, right? Then DJ gets to the mix. He goes underneath. Then you forget about Washington. So I am a bit more confident in what this offense can be, or what their identity is. On the defense, like you said, who's that one player who's not TJ Watt, who's not Minka, who's not Cam, who can affect it? I don't know who that is. And I don't know if the defense knows.
Yeah, I think you got a good point there. What I wanted to get in before we get up to our bold predictions and wrap up the show, did you see who they signed this week to the practice squad with Eric Ebron now on IR?
Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head.
They signed Jay Sternberger, who I've always been a fan of. So he was playing at Green Bay, and he had a pretty good year. And then, yeah. And remember, I was talking to you a lot last year off air about him, because I had him on like Madden, and I was like.
So it could be Roethlisberger to Sternberger.
Burgerlicious. But what I was going to say is that, he's now there on the practice squad working in. Now, I know he left Green Bay because of had a bit of an interesting situation with some substances and what have you. But, he also came along, and, I thought he got the rough end of the stick with Tonyan there, who we saw, obviously, when the Steelers played Green Bay in week 4. So Sternberger, if you look at him, he's quite good. And, I think the way that they use, Bad was talking about this a few weeks ago, the way the practice squad's used now to get people feeling in to the team and whether they fit or not, if they find that he is fitting in with what they want to do, and I can't see why he wouldn't, just off the stuff I've seen before he's joined Steelers. Obviously, I'm not an NFL coach or anything like it, but I think it could be quite interesting down the stretch, because he offers a bit more in the passing game, than what than Gentry or Raider do, and he's he can make plays. So I'm excited by that little I wouldn't say secret weapon, but that tool in the armory, I guess, as you go through.
I got a question for you, Matty. Now, Ebron has been playing some good catches the last few weeks. He's been doing some good things, right? Now, are we better without Ebron?
Yes.
I agree as well. I think we are. I think in the running game,
I would say, in fairness, it was valuable to have him the last, in the last couple of weeks, where we are missing, when we've missed Claypool, you're missing Juju, what have you. He is someone that can catch the football, knows the Steelers scheme. But I don't see him on this team next year.
He made a big play last week though. That was a third down for the first down, and he got us involved. Then he made another play for the touchdown. But something tells me in this run game, I just think we're better, and the defense knows as well when Ebron's out there, it's more or less going to be a pass or it's coming his direction. They can probably figure him out. I would like to see more of a heavy set, get Zach Banner involved, get Watt involved. I know that never happens. I don't know why that doesn't happen. Maybe it's just scheme-wise. Maybe we're saving it for the end. I don't know. But you got to win games now. I want to see those players, be physical, like old school football, like, tight ends on the edge, and then using Zach Banner or fullback and just run with Najee. Like, I don't understand how that hasn't happened. Like we said, you and I aren't coaches, but a certain part of you being a fan says, why aren't you using Derek Watt as a fullback? You paid him all this money, like you've talked about a few times, and we're just not using him. A similar point too, who's going to be our punt returner? Will it be DJ this week? Because we've been using Ray. Has Ray been working out? You got to think, James. I also want to see the sweeps come back this week. And I can't see it from Claypool because of his ankle. I'd prefer them not to use him like that. But I'd love to see, I'd love to see them work in those sweeps again. I think they're really valuable. But Mark, to close out the show, you got any bold predictions? Look, I've been going super crazy with Archie Bong getting a sack. That didn't happen. He got a tackle last week. I'm going to keep it simple. I think Minka gets a pick. I think this is the game where it's getting colder in America now. It's really starting to ramp up. There's 7 games left. It's AFC North football. We have this game, the next game. This can feel like a miracle run if we do it, if we go and have the defense start to really, get amongst it. I think Minka, in some form or fashion, gets a pick. I think he has to get involved in this game. We've only got 4 interceptions,
Well, this is it, right? But we were talking about it earlier in the chat. Someone's got to, they got to throw the ball near Minka. That's half the problem.
Yeah, true.
It's hard for me to get, But I see what you mean. I mean, I still go back. There was a lot of good ones that he had, like obviously the one that he had when he came in against San Francisco and all the rest of it. But my favorite one is the one against the Colts, where they were setting up to throw that touchdown last season, and he came straight through and got that ball. I've done that, replicated that before on Madden and what have you. But I just remember watching that live, and then he's running down the whole field for like 105-yard touchdown, and you're just like, what?
And that's what I think is missing. We're not getting the turnovers as well on defense. It's like how we used to have TJ Watt's in there. I just think something's got to break over the next 7 games where to be, we always say we're a top 5 defense. I don't think we are just yet. I think we're like mending towards that. And if we start to get the team together and Minka getting the picks or the big plays or TJ Watt is going to help us out, then we can be really like, people can be scared because then the guys, like you said, Pierre and those kind of guys, or Spillane comes in, they can help out too, and they'll be surprised when they do something big.
That's it. Okay, I like that. Geez, I said it in the description for the show today. I just want to see Watt come in and just blow Garrett out of the water. Like, how is this still a conversation?
I don't know.
So TJ Watt, 1.5 sacks, 2 tackles for a loss. DJ goes over 100 this game with 2 TDs as well.
I'm excited to see
if Ben throws more than 3 touchdowns or more, I do think he's going to throw a pick this week. I hate to say it.
Yeah, right. Well, it's been a long time. You think the stats will be in his favor? He's going to throw one eventually. But no, I can see him Watt going crazy this week if he's healthy. It's getting to that time. I'm telling you, it's getting to that playoff time. It does feel like that. And we and I have been talking about so much. Like, when's the next guy going to step up? It needs to happen tomorrow.
Exactly. 100%.
You need something happening.
But I also wanted to say, thank you to everyone joining the live chat. We've had a really healthy live chat today. There's some feedback and loving all the love that we're getting from everyone over here as well. We love doing this show. Mark and I were talking actually this week. We cannot believe that we are like 10 games through the season as well. Like, it's incredible that we're here. And then, we're going to have to battle through a long off season. But, it is exciting. The Steelers are still in the mix. anyone can go on right now online and you have a look at the standings. It's theirs for the taking. They can get over the Vikings. They can get over the Chiefs, beat the Ravens twice, get this one this week. We're there.
Just one more thing. This next 2 weeks could be a statement. Could be a statement for the AFC North saying we are here and we are ready to play this game. It really can be. If we can win the next 2 games and prove that we can win by, 7 points, 10 points, we have a good chance to say, look out AFC North, because you guys are struggling. The Ravens and Browns, they're struggling. I'm telling you, they're not good. They're not good teams. They're not good teams.
Well, I couldn't have said it any better, Marky D. So with that, we're going to close out the show. I'm Matty P with Marky D. This is this week's Steelers Touch Down Under. As always, Marky D.
Go Steelers.